Board of County Commission meeting here today on July 23rd, 2024. We are going to start our afternoon session. We will begin with our first presentation, which is going to be Employee Service and Retirement Recognition with Ms. Christina Brandolini. If everybody would be kind enough to silence your cell phones, any other electronic devices you have, out of respect for all the presenters today. Thank you. Ms. Brandolini.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Christina Brandolini, Human Resources Director. This afternoon, we have the pleasure of recognizing employees for their years of service to Seminole County. We're actually going to start with the fire department. Chief Kinley will come down. He has several employees, so I'll let him take the floor.
Chief.
Good afternoon. For the record, Matt Kinley, Fire Chief, Seminole County Fire Department, and I'm very honored here today. We've got some significant years of service here with some very high-performing individuals. We'll start off with 20 years of service. Firefighter Mark Bishop. Firefighter Bishop is a lifelong, that got loud really fast, is a lifelong resident of Volusia County. He started his career with Seminole County Public Works Stormwater Division as an equipment operator in 2004. He attended Seminole Community College in early 2008 for the Emergency Medical Technician and Minimum Fire Standards classes. He was hired by Seminole County Fire Department in October of 2008, where he has been part of many initiatives, including the burn team, tanker team, and many special projects, such as new apparatus outfitting at the Seminole County Fire Training Center. He's currently assigned to Station 34 as a tanker operator. Mark is married to Chief Brenda Bishop of the Orlando International Airport, so she feels my pain sometimes, which is great. And they have 3 adult children and 1 grandson. And he went to high school with me. We got a lot of good people. Next is Luanne Ransom. She's a 58-year resident of Seminole County, attended Lake Howell High School and Seminole State College. Luanne worked for the Economic Development Commission of Orlando prior to coming to Seminole County Fire Department in 1999 as a senior staff assistant for transport billing. My dad hired her. Luanne was promoted in 2004 to Public Safety EMS Performance Management as a program coordinator, along with being the department's special needs contact for emergency management during hurricanes, which, sitting next to her up there, is a very, very busy position. She also manages the Public Access AED program for the county. Besides her role in EMS performance management, she also assists in oversight of Seminole County's FD transport billing. Luanne is married to a retired Lieutenant Mitch Ransom. They have 2 adult children, a grandson, and a granddaughter on the way. Congratulations. Next, with 25 years of service, Lieutenant David Yates. Graduated from DeSoto County High School in 1989 and later moved to Orlando to attend UCF. Lieutenant Yates joined the Altamont Springs Fire Department in 1999 and completed paramedic school in 2001. In 2012, he started teaching rope rescue at the Seminole County Fire Training Center, later becoming the lead instructor. Promoted to lieutenant in 2008, he's taught thousands of students in rope rescue and fire training. Lieutenant Yates earned his master's degree from the University of Massachusetts in 2022 and currently works in the training division, developing programs and training new firefighters. He lives in Apopka with his wife and son. Congratulations. Other fun fact, he's into martial arts and he can catch you from across the room in your throat with a flip-flop.
Chief, you're dating yourself with the flip-flop.
I have not received it, so that's a good thing. A lot of antics at Station 12. 30 years of service. Lieutenant Shane Massari. Graduated from the Central Florida Fire Academy in 1991 after obtaining his EMT certification from Valencia Community College the previous year. He started his firefighting career on May 4th, 1994, and was promoted to lieutenant in July of 2004. He is a graduate of Seminole State College, where he obtained his paramedic certification, as well as his AS degree in emergency medical services. During his 30-year firefighting career, he has served primarily at stations in Winter Springs, Altamont, and Oviedo. He was the recipient of the Lieutenant of the Year Award in 2019 and is currently assigned to Station 29. Shane is married with 2 adult sons. And we'd also just like to thank his wife for making him come. Diane, I'm sorry. Congratulations, Shane.
Thank you, Chief.
Next, with 30 years of service, Tammy Roberts, Procurement Administrator, and Lori Bailey Brown will recognize her.
Good afternoon. Tammy Roberts has 30 years now with Seminole County in our purchasing division. She actually started a little bit before purchasing in our library division and as well in the building department. In her career, she has become a certified professional public buyer and a certified procurement professional. She's held in high regard by her peers in Seminole County and by others outside our county for her long-standing achievements in purchasing. I know I was able to talk with our budget director this morning, and he remembers being trained by Tammy in his first days in procurement. And there's plenty of other stories of people who've had opportunity to learn from her and have really enjoyed working with her.
Congratulations.
I know you all are going to come down and do pictures, but before you do, we would like to recognize some of the folks that couldn't be here today, so I will read those into the record. Jesse Cruz, 20 years, Fire Department. Maria Kasha, 20 years, Fire Department. Jackie Holsey, 25 years, Fire Department. Javier Sari, 25 years, Information Technology. Robert Caslin, 25 years, Fire. Stephen Labe, 25 years, Fire. 30 years, Kurt Thompson, Fire, and Adam Bringle with Public Works. And if you would, come down and take pictures with these folks.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
Sorry.
before you do
Commissioner
that, I
Constantine.
just wanted to recognize one other group that's coming up that's got a 50 anniversary, and that is our fire department. On October 4th, they're going to be 50 years old.
Yeah. Amen. Great. Well, let's assemble for photos, folks.
No comment.
Sorry. I'm going to be the attorney today.
Oh, this ought to be real good.
I can really do something.
As long as she can be the county manager.
You see what Commissioner Her and I did while you were gone.
Oh, my.
I haven't briefed you on that.
Oh, boy. As long as you had a good time, I'm good with it.
We did.
Even if you had a good time at my expense, I'm even better with it. All right, folks, we're going to move on to our public hearing agenda this afternoon. I will ask that the county attorney, Ms. Kate Latore, read into the record rules for public participation. If you're here to speak on any of these items in the afternoon public hearing agenda, you will need to grab a yellow sheet, hand it to the clerk right here with the item number listed on it, with your name. If you want to give a written statement for the record, not to be recognized at the podium, fill out a green sheet and give it to the Madam Clerk right here, Ms. Monique. With that said, I will ask the county attorney to read the rules.
While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires that the board's decision in quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent, substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent, substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, information presented by county staff, information the applicant presented, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of proceedings and official minutes. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Latore. I will ask for proof of publication motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, motion carries. I would ask each commissioner to disclose any ex parte they've had on any of these items. Mine has been submitted electronically.
Chairman, I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
Very well. Our first item up will be item 2024-0694. Item 59, Mission Road rezone. Consider a rezone from A1 agricultural to R1 AA single-family dwelling for a single-family residential home on approximately 0.545 acres located on the west side of Mission Road, approximately quarter mile north of Chapel Street. This will be presented by Ms. Silloway. We will have staff give us a presentation. If the applicant is present, they'll be invited to give a brief presentation. It will go to public input. We will ask if the applicant desires to have any rebuttal, then we'll go to board action. Ms. Silloway?
Good afternoon. I will be presenting the Mission Rezone. My name is Annie Silloway with Development Services. The applicant is requesting a rezone from A1 agriculture to R1 AAA single-family dwelling in order to construct a single-family residential home at 347 Mission Road that is to be in compliance with the R1 AAA zoning district, which permits single-family dwellings. The existing A1 zoning classification allows for single-family dwellings, however, requires a minimum lot size of 1 acre and a minimum lot width of 150 feet at building line. The vacant undeveloped site is approximately 0.45 acres with a lot width of 105 feet. Therefore, it does not meet the minimum lot size requirements in A1 agriculture. The requested R1 AAA single-family dwelling zoning classification requires a minimum lot size of 13,500 square feet and a minimum width at building line of 100 feet, which the subject property does not meet the zoning requirements of the R1 AAA. The R1 AAA zoning is consistent with the future land use of medium-density residential that allows for low-density residential future land use zoning. The site has direct access onto public right-of-way, Mission Road. The property is located in the City of Oviedo utility service area and has water capacity to service the site for a single-family home, and an enhanced nutrient-reducing septic system will be installed by the owner. The request is consistent with the Seminole County Comprehensive Plan and is compatible with the surrounding area, which consists of single-family, detached, and two-family residential development. A community meeting was conducted on April 4th, 2024. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on July 5th, 2024, and voted unanimously to recommend the Board of County Commissioners adopt the proposed ordinance enacting the rezone. Staff requests that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 agriculture to R1 AAA single-family dwelling for a single-family residential home on approximately 0.45 acres located on the west side of Mission Road, approximately a quarter-mile north of Chapel Street. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Silway. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant here and wish to make a presentation or statement to the Board of County Commission? Yes, sir. If you'll come forward, please give us your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. Shay Smith, the applicant. I agree with staff.
Good job.
Awesome.
Hey, that's pretty good. All right.
Good job.
Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers on this item?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move to board action. This is my district. I will move for a rezone from A1 agriculture to R1 AAA for a single-family dwelling residential home on approximately 0.45 acres located on the west side of Mission Road, approximately a quarter-mile north of Chapel Street.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. Our next item, we'll move into our legislative items. This is number 60, Land Development Code Amendment, second reading. Consider an ordinance amending Chapter 2 definitions of Chapter 30 zoning, Chapter 35 subdivisions, Chapter 60 arbor, and Chapter 90 uniform building numbering system of Seminole County Land Development Code. Maya Athanas will present this. Ms. Maya?
Good afternoon. Maya Athanas, Senior Planner, Planning and Development Division. This is a request to consider an ordinance amending Chapter 2 definitions, Chapter 30 zoning, Chapter 35 subdivisions, Chapter 60 arbor, and Chapter 90 uniform building numbering systems of the Seminole County Land Development Code. This is the second reading for this item. Staff presented it on June 25th, 2024, when the board voted to approve the first reading with requested changes. The requested changes were to remove the proposed revision to the definition for guest cottage in Chapter 2 definitions and to add language to Section 30.6.4.2 special events to include that the Seminole County Sheriff's Office can recommend private security personnel be hired to staff special events when no off-duty officers or deputies are available. These changes have been made to the ordinance. Since the first reading, minor changes have been made to correct Scrivener's errors regarding the footnote numbering in the permitted use table in Section 30.5.2 in Chapter 30 zoning. I will summarize the proposed changes that were presented during the first reading, but a more detailed summary of changes is attached to the agenda. This amendment corrects typographical errors and omissions and provides clarification in certain sections of the Land Development Code identified after the adoption of the LDC rewrite, which was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on January 9th, 2024, and went into effect in April of 2024. In Chapter 2, one new definition was added for nominal roof overhang. Changes to Chapter 30 include updating code section references, reinserting and updating code sections, updating the permitted use table to reinsert the PLI zoning district, and adding a section to establish a defined process for uncombining platted lots. Changes to Chapter 35 include updating position titles, and changes to Chapter 60 include updating position titles, designee references, and reinserting and updating the authority to impose fines. And changes to Chapter 90 include minor text edits, updates to position titles, and the removal of the alternate subdivision naming. Further, as presented during the first reading, this amendment will also revise the special event permitting process, including removing the permit exemption for churches and schools, requiring that security personnel be off-duty officers or deputies unless none are available to staff the special event, allowing repeat special events heard by the Board of County Commissioners to go through staff review only if the special event remains the same as the event previously approved by the board, and the special event permit application and security plan will be sent to the Sheriff's Office for review and comment. The attachments within the staff report include the summary of changes spreadsheet, the ordinance, a private property rights analysis, and the economic impact analysis statement. And with that, that concludes my presentation. Myself and other staff are available to answer any questions. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt upon the second reading of the ordinance, amending Chapter 2 definitions, Chapter 30 zoning, Chapter 35 subdivisions, Chapter 60 arbor, and Chapter 90 uniform building numbering systems of the Seminole County Land Development Code. Thank you.
Thank you, and we promise we'll try not to make that any longer for you next time.
Thanks.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, are there any public input forms submitted for this item?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we will close public comment and move to board action.
Move approval of the Land Development Code Amendment, second reading.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. Next item is item number 61, Chapter 258, Urban Bear Management. Seminole County Code of Ordinances, consider a proposed ordinance amending Section 258.2, Seminole County Code of Ordinances to require bear awareness residential signage. This will be put on by Ms. Hammock. Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, Rebecca Hammock, Development Services Director. Item 61 is a proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 258 of the Seminole County Code of Ordinances to require bear awareness residential signage in new residential developments, including single-family residential subdivisions and multifamily apartment complexes that are in the county's urban bear management area. New residential development within the urban bear management area will be required to install and maintain bear awareness signage at the community's entrances and exits, which will notify residents of the potential for bear encounters. The proposed ordinance requires all new residential development to include 2 signs at each ingress-egress location. 1 sign will face vehicles entering the property and 1 will face vehicles exiting the property. If applicable, a minimum of 1 sign is required in a common area within the development, which, for example, would be near a park or a stormwater pond. The location of the proposed signage must be shown on the final engineering or final site plan as proposed in the ordinance. The plan must also include the verbiage and a typical sign detail, which will be reviewed by staff. As applicable, a homeowner's property association, property owner, or management company is responsible for owning and maintaining the required bear awareness signage. Here are 2 examples of FWC signs that they consider their bear-aware signage. So what we've written into the proposed ordinance is that a developer can use the FWC signage as a template, as a basis, and then the ordinance also requires that the sign include verbiage that the subject property is subject to Chapter 258 Seminole County Code of Ordinances, which is the urban bear management regulations within the code. So with that, staff requests that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the proposed ordinance amending Section 258.2 of Chapter 258 Urban Bear Management of the Seminole County Code of Ordinances to require bear awareness residential signage. And this would be applicable to new development. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, are there any comments or speakers on this item?
We have 1 speaker, Linda Radon.
Ms. Radon? Yes.
Excuse me, Chairman, I'm sorry. I did receive 1 email
Okay.
in support, and it says, I'm in support of having bear signs posted. Bear human conflicts are a result of people not securing their trash nor being bear wise. And this was from Linda Radon.
So Linda Radham's made an email, and she's here to speak. Is that what I'm understanding? Do you want to do both, ma'am? Yes. Okay, please come forward.
Yeah.
Cindy Haller also is in support of this. She said she was going to email the commissioners.
She did.
Okay.
We got it.
Do I have to name my name?
For your name and address for the record, please.
Linda Radin, 657 Lake Drive, Altamont Springs. I am in support and ask for your approval of the bear awareness signs countywide. Bears are known for foraging for food in garbage containers and other sources, and to prevent human-bear conflicts, I think this is a great idea, reminding residents of the possibility of encountering with them and to secure their garbage, etc. This will also hopefully prevent bears from getting killed unnecessarily and prevent injuries to people and pets. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you don't vote for it, I'm going to be really mad.
Yeah, we get that way often, too. Thank you. We also have a written comment from a Lisa R., and I can't make out, Zatan or Zatani? Zatani, okay. Her comment is, I'm in support of a countywide bear awareness signage. Thank you. So we'll give that to make sure that's, no, it's not countywide. Any other comments?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close public comment and go to board action. Commissioner Herr.
We just mentioned that it's not countywide, and that's because it's in the urban bear management area. So I do move to approve the ordinance amending Section 258.2 of Chapter 258 for the urban bear management of the Seminole County Code.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion. Commissioner Constantine, then Commissioner Lockhart.
Thank you. Just quickly, I am in full support of this, and during the conversation that I had with the staff, I did suggest, and we talked about this before, about when new developments come in, actually having bear-proof containers for each of the homes. And the suggestion I would like to see is that at least the staff bring it up or talk about it, and we talk about it, that for the next round with the Land Development Code, because our program has been so successful, but many of those cans are now, years old, and they're deteriorating, and many people are looking to, whether they have to buy another one, looking for help from the FWC, from us, whatever the case. But one of the things that would be very nice, and it would not add anything practically to the mortgage, is that the homeowners, developers, as they build these homes, put in a urban bear trash can that would, be given with each home. So just a thought.
Commissioner Lockhart.
Know that we need to put a garbage can on credit, but folks, we don't need to amortize a garbage can over 30 years probably, but
I didn't mean it that way.
oh, you said add to the mortgage, so I
I'm just
wasn't quite
saying
sure
if they
where we
were
were
going to
going
add to
with
the
that.
cost of the home, I don't
Okay.
think should be an amenity.
Separate but related, conversation with staff again to add to the next round of potential updates. Even if, thinking multifamily, even if we have dumpsters that are bear-proof in these areas, if a resident living in an apartment puts their trash on the hood of their car, their trunk of the car, thinking that they're going to remember to put it in the dumpster on the way out in the morning, and they forget and the trash gets strewn all over, the bears still have access to it. So I'd love to have something that that either is a reminder, or I don't know, I've talked with staff about what that might look like, but we have an opportunity to have it not just be on the responsibility of the original developer, but the residents who are there, particularly for rental communities, not just single-family homes, because there's a lot of trash being generated from those communities as well that could be bear attractant. So try to hit both.
Very good. Well, my thoughts are, and I will be supporting this, but I just did a little bit of background search and learned that there's actually more alligator encounters than there are bear encounters in Seminole County. There's been more alligator and coyote encounters in the last 5 years in Seminole County than there has been bear encounters, with the exception of the year 2022. I don't know that we may not want to consider having staff adopt alligator signs, coyote signs, bobcat signs, any other signs. I know we've focused on bears for any number of reasons, and I agree with that. But the question for me is, what about the reality is there's more encounters by other wildlife than there is from bears? Just a thought. Sure.
I don't disagree with you at all, and from the perspective of, especially in the more urban parts of our county, coyotes are a significant problem. I will also say that one of the attractants of the coyotes in the urban areas is the released cats that we are apparently doing a lot of now. So there's a lot of conversation to be had there, for sure.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Hammock. Okay, our next item of the agenda will be number 62, Code of Ordinances Amendment to Chapter 20, Animals and Fowl. Consider an ordinance repealing ordinances 2016-22 and 2018-20 and deleting Part 4, Backyard Chicken Program in its entirety, Chapter 20, Animals and Fowl of the Seminole County Code. Ms. Hammock?
Thank you. Good afternoon again. Rebecca Hammock, Development Services Director. As the chairman stated, the purpose of the proposed ordinance is to delete repeal two previously adopted ordinances that amended the county code that created the original backyard chicken program and then was later amended to create a permanent program. And after that, we have now amended the land development code to include backyard chickens as an outright permitted use within single-family residential development. And so because it is now within the land development code, does not require a permit, but there are regulations that govern it. We are now deleting the language that was in the code of ordinances. So backyard chickens are still permitted within the county. This is just deleting language, redundant language within Chapter 4 of the Code of Ordinances. So staff requests that the board adopt the ordinance repealing ordinances 20-16 or 2016-22 and 2018-20 and deleting Part 4 Backyard Chickens Program in its entirety, Chapter 20, Animals and Fowl of the Seminole County Code. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Hammock. Any questions for Ms. Hammock? I do have one bit of humor. We always refer to them as backyard chickens. Is there a difference between a chicken in the front yard, side yard, backyard?
They're only permitted in your backyard.
I understand that.
And do we allow them to cross the road?
And if they do,
the other
why?
side.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any folks here from the public to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
We're seeing none, we'll close public input and go to board action. Madam Chicken Commissioner, would you like to?
I guess I should do the honors. And just to reiterate, chickens are still allowed in backyards as a right. And I'm really glad because I've got a few. So make a motion to repeal the ordinance 2016-22 and 2018-20 and deleting Part 4 of the Backyard Chicken Program in its entirety, Chapter 20, Animals and Fowl of the Seminole County Code, because we don't need it anymore, because people have the
Second.
right to have chickens.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, motion carries unanimous.
And thank you to my colleagues for being so long-suffering, talking about chickens for years.
Number 63 is the next item. This is adopt an ordinance to create the Twin Lakes Lake Management Municipal Services Benefit Unit, also known as MSBU. Adopt the associated initial variable rate assessment role required for funding the requested public services, and approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Longwood. This will be put on by Mr. Michael Eason. Mr. Eason, how are you this afternoon?
Good, how are you, sir?
Great, thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, Board of County Commissioners. Item 63 offers board consideration to adopt an ordinance creating a municipal service benefit unit assessment district to provide funding for lake management services on behalf of Twin Lakes, which is located within Commission District 3. The request for establishing this MSBU was initiated by community application. The standard petitioning process coordinated by the MSBU program demonstrated a 69.2% response in favor of the BCC creating the requested MSBU, thereby exceeding the required 65% threshold. The assessment boundary of the proposed MSBU consists of 26 waterfront residential properties, with each being assigned one benefit unit. 24 properties are located within unincorporated Seminole County, with the remaining 2 properties located within the jurisdiction of the City of Longwood. This MSBU will consist of only Phase 2 services, which are known to be ongoing and indefinite. The estimated annual assessment for Phase 2 services are $260.76 per parcel, and this amount is based on a 5-year cost projection for contracted services. Phase 2 is a variable rate assessment that is subject to change annually according to site conditions and budgeted expenses, and the estimated assessment will be levied via the annual tax bill. Following public input, the action requested is for the board to adopt the proposed ordinance creating the Twin Lakes Lake Management Municipal Services Benefit Unit, the initial variable rate assessment role for Phase 2 MSBU services, and the interlocal agreement with the City of Longwood. This concludes my introduction of this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, are there any public speakers on this matter, Madam Clerk?
We have one Pamela Hendricks.
Ms. Hendricks, if you would come forward, please. And if you would just give us your name and address for the record and pull the mic close, please.
My name is Pamela Hendricks, and I live at 127 Eastern Fork in Longwood. So as a history to this, I've lived on Twin Lakes or Lake Woodlands since 1976. And at that time, originally we had some problems with our drilla, and we had a big meeting with all of the people on the lake. We decided that we wanted to take care of the lake and keep it up. So it's been ongoing that it's been voluntary that people have paid for the lake. Not everyone is paid, but we had enough money that we could continue to have the lake sprayed, and so it was nice. And then we ended up not having enough money to do that. So the lake really got a lot of weeds in it, a lot of algae. And I've had the county come out several times over the years, and they've been very helpful with what we should be doing with the lake. And then I approached them to go ahead and maybe do this. And so we had our petition, and it did pass. I would just ask the commissioners to please let us have the MSBU. It would be more equitable if everybody paid and not just a few people, and keep increasing what they needed to pay to upkeep the lake, and then others paid nothing. So anyway, that's what I'm asking, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers on this item?
No, sir.
I do have one written comment. Is there a Tracy Amix here? She wishes to have read into the record on this item. She is in opposition to this. In regards to the ordinance being proposed, I oppose in having a mandated tax assessment of approximately 9% increase for the next 5 years, or after the assessment be reassessed and potentially increase. That is the comment. Thank you very much for your written comment. It is in the record. No further comments. We will move to board action. This is Commissioner Constantine's district. Commissioner?
Thank you, sir. And yes, as typical of these programs, it seemed, we went back to the citizens. We put together a budget. There were 19 responses, 18 for, 1 against, 7 no responses, which comes to 69%, well above the percent that we require to do this. So it seems that a vast majority of the citizens in this area wish to have this Lake Management Municipal Service Benefit Unit. And so therefore, I will move that we adopt the ordinance to create the Twin Lakes Lake Management Municipal Services Benefit Unit, adopt the associated initial variable rate assessment role required for funding the requested Public Services and approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Longwood.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign? Seeing none, carries unanimous. Thank you all very much. I would only say to Mr. and Mrs. Amix, who appear to be here, I've been part of one of these myself. I think some of the other commissioners have been as well. It often is a daunting consideration of the additional taxation, but I think you'll find at the end of the day, I think you will be well pleased with the way your lake is managed and maintained and enhance your property values. So good luck to you, and thank you very much for being here. Thank you. All right, next we will move to our county attorney's report. Ms. Latour.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two matters I need to briefly address with the board this afternoon. First relates to the PFAS class action lawsuit. You may recall that the county is party to a multi-district litigation that consolidated thousands of cases against the manufacturers of PFAS-laden aqueous film forming foam. I practiced that during
I'm going to
lunch
say,
today.
can you say that 3 times fast?
The federal court approved settlements against DuPont and 3M several months ago, totaling billions of dollars of funds to be allocated amongst various public water systems, including the county. The county is a qualifying settlement class member, and its Phase 1 public water system settlement claim was due to be filed on July 12th. Against 3M and DuPont. And after many months of the county gathering data on its water supply with the utilities department and in conjunction with outside counsel, we did submit that claim on July 12th. That was the deadline, and I signed that claim on behalf of the county, given the meeting schedule, the board meeting schedule. There was no board meeting prior to doing that. So what I'm asking for today is a motion ratifying the county's submittal of that claim.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, you have your approval.
Thank you very much. And I will keep you posted on the outcome of that, of course. And the second issue is related to a discussion that has come up a few times over the past few meetings and public comment in the afternoon. Yesterday, I circulated a memorandum to the board addressing questions that you asked me at the conclusion of your last meeting related to alleged election or voter fraud or irregularities, and you asked me to look into whether the board could be the entity that identifies these sorts of irregularities to the supervisor of elections, and also whether the board could allocate funding to the supervisor of elections for the purpose of investigating this sort of fraudulent registration or possible illegal voting activities. And in short, the statutes do provide for the board to be able to provide this funding to the supervisor of elections as part of your budget process, specifically for the supervisor to conduct investigations into fraudulent investigations and illegal voting. However, this board does not have independent investigatory authority in and of itself. The majority of the responsibilities for investigating these sort of activities in Florida fall to the Department of State and the supervisor of elections in each county. So if you were to receive this sort of information from your constituents, my recommendation is you may pass it along, and please pass it along, and those entities, the Department of Elections and the supervisors, are the entities charged with the authority to conduct investigations. In fact, in 2022, the Department of State created this new Office of Election Crimes and Security. That entity maintains a voter fraud hotline, and they also accept written complaint forms related to voter fraud or voter registration irregularities. If you have any questions about that information, I'm always available to discuss that with you further. Okay.
Any questions on that line? Commissioner Lockhart.
Well, I would just say, so far, with the feedback that came to my office when I was chairman, and I believe the feedback that the chairman currently has received has been forwarded to the Secretary of State and the Division of Elections. So from that perspective, we have done what we thought was the appropriate thing to do when there were concerns. I just wanted to put that on the record.
That is correctly memorialized, and anything that's come on my radar as the chair from a constituent or anybody in the public has been forwarded through the county attorney's office to the Secretary of State, in some cases to the governor himself, so that it's on the appropriate individual's radar. So thank you very much. Any other inquiries on that? I do have an inquiry sort of in that same vein. last week we received notice of a lawsuit filed against Seminole County as well as the supervisor of elections. Can you give us any information on where the county is in that? And my struggle is that is a separate entity as a constitutional officer, and the allegations that have been alleged are against that individual, but yet the county has been named in the lawsuit.
Insurance.
Where does that place us as the county, and what should we be or not be doing?
Well, Chairman, we did receive that lawsuit late last week. We were served, I believe, on Thursday, so it's still being evaluated. I don't want to get into too many details about the lawsuit. We were named as a defendant just the same as the supervisor of elections, and, we're evaluating that, and we're going to respond accordingly. Unfortunately, we can't prevent lawsuits or being named in lawsuits for maybe things we don't think we should be named for, but we're evaluating it and we'll proceed accordingly. But it's still pretty new, so we have a few weeks left to get a response out there.
Okay, fair enough. Commissioner Herr.
Just want to point out that if that's not been shared with risk management, it needs to be.
Oh, absolutely, it was.
Good. All right. County manager reports and/or any staff reports you may have.
Neither on both, no reports. I do all mine in the morning.
Nice. Well, let's move to district commissioner reports. Commissioner Lockhart.
Oh, am I first?
Do you want me to go first?
And it's okay to say everything's perfect.
Nope, I can do it. I got it. Patty got it. Attended the FACT conference with a lot of you. It was a really well-attended conference. Had an opportunity to see a presentation from an organization called Freebie, which is a microtransit private agency that our staff has since reached out to and had some good meetings with.
The bat phone. Nobody's there.
Yeah.
It was Robin.
You have no idea how hard it is to stay focused.
Oh, I do.
Oh, yes, we do.
So
Okay.
you look this way, we have to look that way.
That's true. You're not wrong. You got it? You good over there?
That ain't me, okay?
You see my point?
I do. I'm with it.
Another day in paradise.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner, are you okay over there? There it is. It's for you.
I'm not going to answer it this time.
Okay.
It's not my end.
So Freebie's fabulous.
I hope they're not watching.
If they wanted our business, they no longer do. Like these yahoos. No.
Oh, we're a fun group.
Oh, gosh. So anyway, many thanks to our staff members who have had great conversations with them, as well as following up on conversations with Links as directed by this board in previous meetings. It sounds like those conversations are going very well, and I've got a Links board meeting Thursday as well as a Commuter Rail Commission meeting, and so it's just good to know that there are conversations being had, the information is being compiled to come back to the board with all of the options that are on the table for us, and so I just want you to know I'm keeping up with all of that very closely. I also had, in the realm of microtransit discussions, had an opportunity to go on a field trip with Tom O'Hanlon and drive his autonomous Tesla. So I just got to sit there with my hands near the wheel in case, and it was just an unbelievably unnerving, somewhat, experience, and very cool. If that's your gig, I don't know that it's mine, but it was a great experience. So thank you to Tom, who is also our Metroplan Orlando Citizens Advisory Committee appointee, and so he's having conversations as we all are about things related to transit. Also pulled together Martha R. as the representative on the Commission on Homelessness, the CEO of that organization, with our staff dealing with homelessness, as well as our state lobbyist, to talk about pending legislation or legislative priorities that may be important for us to take up depending on how the sleeping in public rulemaking develops. There's still a lot to be learned about that, but many thanks to our lobbying team for coming and meeting with us so that we could try and take somewhat of a regional approach if possible. The Seminole Hobnob, I'll let others talk about that, but it was great. Congrats to the Seminole Chamber of Commerce for another great Hobnob. It's been going on for like 45 years in Seminole County. Did you know it's been that long? I had no idea. That's unbelievable. Back to Sunrail, the grand opening of the DeLand Sunrail Station will be August 9th. Very exciting to have that final, well, at least the final northern leg of that opened up. And then just to put on everyone's radar, on October 26th, the first ever Emerald Awards in Seminole County are going to be held, and that's in partnership with Radiantly Black Magazine. I am one of the honorary chairs of that event, and it will be held at Lake Brantley High School. Working on getting sponsors right now, but the idea is that it's a honoring successful Black individuals in Seminole County in a variety of areas, whether it be education or medicine or commerce. There are a variety of awards that will be given, and then the proceeds from that will be given to a charity that benefits homelessness in Seminole County. What makes this awards event unique is that it is the first ever event honoring Black Seminole County residents. Everything else is very Orlando-centric in the region, and this is specifically just for Seminole County. So I was very excited to be asked to be a part of that. So that's, again, October 26th, and that's all I have.
All right. District 5, Commissioner Herr.
Do you know what time it is on this?
I'm going to do a pared-down report today in the interest of we've had a really effective meeting, and I'm going to keep it that way. If I know that there's been a request put out by the local Teen Challenge Men's Center for commissioners to tour it. I did do that. If you haven't done it, I would highly encourage you to do it. It's really a learning opportunity that we shouldn't pass up. And I'll leave it at that. They do amazing work, and it's probably not what you think they do.
Commissioner Delary, District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, so many times we have such wonderful county staff people. It's hard to recognize all of them, and it's hard to keep track of so many of them because there's about 1,400 plus or minus, and they're in so many different aspects of the county. I spent a good part of the day a couple of weeks ago, about a week or so ago, with the watershed management team, Thomas Calhoun and Chad Day, and we're on Bear Gully Lake, Lake Burkett, and Deep Lake, and it's nice to see it from their side, literally in a boat. It's nice to see all the wonderful things that they're doing, and a couple of those lakes are shared with Orange County. Lake Burkett's one of them, Deep Lake's another one, and there's a significant difference once you cross that line. And I want to thank our team and so many of them for doing such hard work and staying on top of it. And you can definitely see the difference going across the county line. Thomas and Chad, great job.
Yes, they do.
End of my report.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner Constantine, District 3.
Looks like we're all going to be brief today.
That'd be a good thing.
I think that I want to just congratulate all of our various areas that had their this July 4th event. Or, I know that in my district, the Red Hot and Boom was the largest they've ever had during the weekday. And it was, sometimes you just want to stay home during that thing because you can't get around either before or after in Altamont Springs. But I usually ride my bike there, so I can get there and get out of there faster. The Legacy Point is having their opening tonight, the UCF Center, which is in Seminole County, and it will be, it's the first big project, as we all know, but for those that don't, first big project that UCF has done right across the street in Seminole County, and it's something where a lot of folks are looking to have a great second life, and I'm excited about the possibilities there. The Seminole County Chamber, talking about the Seminole County Chamber, on July 29th, will have their State of the Schools, and I know that's something that's always, a lot of folks come out to hear it just before the new school year. And on August 1st, I did want to let you all know, at the Advent Health Hospital in Altamont Springs, the Statewide Council on Opioid Abatement will have its first in-person meeting with, of course, the sheriff in lieu of the Attorney General leading the meeting as her representative. And I also did want to give a shout out, before I do that, also Commissioner Lockhart mentioned the Florida Association of Counties meeting. A week and a half after that, the National Association of Counties had their meeting in Hillsborough County, well attended. Typical Florida weather that all of them were not prepared for. All of them melting in the humidity. But it was a great meeting. I brought a number of different things to our staff and to our county manager that I think that we might be able to use. And I have some more things that I'm going to be bringing you also. I also want to give a shout out to Commissioner of Altamont Springs, Bob O'Malley, who received the Roger Penn, another citizen of Seminole County, Award for Career Excellence from the Orlando area chapter of the Florida Public Relations Association, and our own Andy Wanter from Public. Where is she? Is she here?
She's here.
Oh, too bad. But I do want to give a shout out to her for the Public Information Division, who received the Impress Award for the Professional Achievement from the Orlando area chapter of the Florida Public Relations Association. And with that, that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Constantine. Well, in the interest of moving this along, because we do have at least one commissioner that has some tight deadlines this afternoon, I will forego any report on the chairman's side or on my district. I think everybody's pretty much covered everything. Nothing real important happened. We had a great sabbatical. I think everybody had a good time off with family and so forth, and was able to come back and focus.
Who's that?
Well, I had a vacation. I don't know about that.
I don't remember the sabbatical memo.
Of course.
Constraint.
Of course, mine started out 3 days late but I did get to tour 6 Native American Indian reservations on the way.
But that's fabulous.
Which was quite interesting. But we'll move on now to public comment items not related to the agenda. These are items that are not on the agenda. This is for public input to be done at the end of the meeting. I will go to our clerk to see if we have anybody that wishes to speak. And if there is public here that wants to speak, you will need to fill out a yellow form and get it to the clerk right here. So if you would call, how many do we have?
So far, I only have one.
Okay, we have one. If you will call that person up, and we will get them underway.
It is Tana Harris.
Tana Harris.
I don't know.
Dennis Shepner.
Wait a minute, I'm going to say, what Tanya not here?
Don't know.
Guess not.
Okay, is there anybody else that wants to speak here on non-agenda item? Seeing none?
Yes.
Do we have one now, still?
Yes, Dennis Shepner.
Okay, and the first one you read is not here anymore?
Correct.
So let the record reflect that individual is not present. So we will move on with Mr. Shepner. Your name and address for the record,
Okay,
sir.
my name is Dennis Shepner. I live in Winter Springs, 1167 Oak Creek Court. So, good afternoon, Commissioners. I had planned to present 4 public testimonies with people. One of them is late in arriving, so my backup and my backup to my backup both had emergencies and weren't able to be here. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to provide testimony myself and refer you to the full script that we were going to provide. So I'm now probably towards the end of that presentation. My slide is up. So what we were going to present was additional information regarding the registration of the voting violations. What we had planned to present were numerous detailed examples with publicly identifiable information redacted across 5 different categories. And you'll see that information is in the handout that you have. So that was going to be presented. We were going to walk you through all the engagements that we've had, which has generated very little to no response. And then I was going to provide the following asks, which are on the slide. The first one is moot, since the county attorney already addressed those questions from the last time. My second ask is agree to accept the full list of apparent violations from me and formally submit them to the supervisor of election for investigation and action. My third ask is knowledge of legal awareness. First, understand the legal principle from RECOI 127 U.S. 730-31 from 1888, stating that an election official who fails to follow the law for any reasons, including ignorance, commits election fraud. Secondly, acknowledge your role on the election canvassing board under section 102.141 Florida statute and consider not certifying election results if there are any unresolved questions about legal registrations and violations. Third, note that under section 104.091 sub paragraph 1, aiding or advising in the violation of election laws carries penalties equivalent to those for the principal offender. Last, under legal awareness, is if nothing is done regarding these apparent 2022 general election violations after all these efforts to alert county officials, the SOE and the county may be vulnerable to lawsuits if the same violations, particularly the voting violations, are identified shortly after the 2024 general election. The fourth and last ask is that the election system and procedures and lack of due diligence that allowed these apparent violations will likely yield even more violations in the upcoming 2024. So the ask there is time urgency in acting. So those are my asks. In closing, these items will not go away as long as we have elections. Your actions or interactions are being closely observed by voters. Some of them, a couple are here today. Some of them are watching live streams. Some are watching the recorded video of the session. Many voters are talking about this in between. This is the 3rd time that we've been here and talked about this. Many
Mr.
people are talking
Schopner,
in
I'm
between
going to ask you
things.
to try to wrap it up here pretty quick.
Yes, sir. So many people are talking about it in between these sessions. So this is important to many people throughout the county. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So we have no other speakers, is that right?
Correct.
Monique? Okay, we'll close public input. I will look to the board, and I'm going to have a statement I'm going to make to the county attorney in light of what she has disclosed to us. Is the board comfortable with the county attorney taking the video of what was just presented to us, along with the things that were just presented to us, and just send those to the appropriate entities that were identified by you in your letter, an analysis of the election laws and the individuals and departments that are supposed to oversee that? Are we okay with that?
I'd like to include the data that we received at the last meetings.
Of course.
Okay, just want to make sure all that's
if
in
you
one
would be
packet.
kind enough If we've got consensus to include what was presented to us today, Mr. Shopner's name as a constituent, and the previous documentation that's been given to us, and forward those to the appropriate entities, which sounds like it would also be the supervisor of elections, so that we have done everything that our constituents have requested us to do, that we have the power to do. As far as the canvassing board, I will be sitting on that canvassing board as the chairman. And we also have canvassing board attorneys that are employed here at the county that will be accompanying me to also help oversee and ensure that things are being followed accordingly. So, Commissioner Herr?
Would it be appropriate to also forward the information to the canvassing board individually? I'm asking the attorney.
I don't know that the canvassing board has the authority to act on the information. I think it would be informational only, and
So if I were sitting on the canvassing board and not knowing all of this was happening, I would think I would be at a deficit. So I think from an informational perspective, they should know it. There was a request of our member of the canvassing board not to certify the election. I think it's fair, and this is a public forum, we know it, the public knows it, but they may not know it. I know it's hard to believe, but not everybody watches these meetings. I think they have it would benefit them to know as well.
sure, if that's the direction of the board, I'm happy to do that as well.
Sure. And as the person sitting on that board, I would be looking to our legal staff to give me guidance,
Right.
whether we are certifying or not.
I already took note of that.
Yeah. Commissioner Lockhart.
I would like to add to the packet that you're compiling the previous communication that was sent to the Secretary of State from the last election, because when I served on the canvassing board as chairman during the last election, there were some concerns and observations that I had that I shared with the Secretary, with the Division of Elections, with this board, and I feel like that maybe should be included as, and oh, by the way, this is what we already sent you last year, just so they have the complete picture, if that's
Correct. No, I think
appropriate.
that's appropriate and fine. I mean, it just at least refreshes the memory of those entities that have already been put on notice of the concerns from constituents. That said, I would make sure that we include, like I said, the video from these hearings that we've had or our public meetings, as well as the speakers' names and addresses of our constituents that have come and made these statements, so that those entities are able to reach those folks reasonably if they need further interaction or further information. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Great. Commissioner Delary.
Thank you. I want to make sure the county attorney's done writing first.
I'm listening. I can do two things at once.
I know you can, but I just wanted to make sure.
You have my full attention.
So we're sending it to Supervisor of Election. I get that. Are we sending it to the State of Florida Secretary of State?
Correct.
Okay, just want to be crystal clear that we're doing all of that.
Yes, I'll probably direct it to the Secretary of State's office and the Division of Elections office specifically, and if I can find a contact for the Office of Election Security and Crimes, I think is what it's called, then I will send it there as well.
Thank you.
I'll copy everyone.
Just copy us on it.
And all of you.
I just wanted to be clear.
Commissioner Herr. Commissioner Constantine, did you have something? Okay. This is your chance to wrap it up.
I think he's talking to you, but I'm going to do it.
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh, you were talking to me. I thought you were looking over there. I just want to say how much I appreciate the past chair and the current chair sitting in these roles and dealing with all of this in your leadership during those times, and continuing with you, Chairman Zimbauer. But I think with regard to this package that's now being sent, parts of it being resent, I would appreciate it if it would be reviewed by both of you before it's sent, so that all of the onus doesn't fall on the county attorney, who hasn't been here through all of we need your 3 sets of eyes on this to make it as
Absolutely.
complete a package as it can be, and maybe it can stop there.
Good
I would
point.
hate to think that we would be building on it the next time, so I'm going to not think that.
So the board's okay with Commissioner Lockhart and myself reviewing what the county attorney puts together prior to it going out?
Yep.
It'll be shared with everybody's office, of course. Fair enough, Commissioner Lockhart, you're good
Yes.
with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Very good. Anything else good for the order? Commissioner Lockhart.
Separate but related. There was an ask that Mr. Shepner had that is not listed in one of the 4 asks, and it had to do with canvassing board and accepting our responsibility on the canvassing board. And the statute is very clear about who is to be on the canvassing board, and then when someone is ineligible to serve, what happens next. So there is an expectation that there would not always be a county commissioner serving on the canvassing board. That's just that's how the statute was written.
Correct.
That understanding. So that being said, there was a time many months ago when I suggested that as a part of our administrative code, we address how our board wants to handle serving on the canvassing board. We don't have anything in our admin code that acknowledges that we acknowledge that there is a role for us on the canvassing board, and that it is the county's canvassing board. After your time serving in this next round, you'll have a really good grasp of some specific things that could be included. But I think one of the tensions that we had with the community that was very concerned that there was no county commissioner serving on the canvassing board in the past was that we really don't have a formative document that says this is what we acknowledge, this is how we will do it, and when one of us can't, this is what we're going to do. And it's just not spelled out. And so when there is a vacuum, people fill it with their own thoughts, and they're not always accurate. So I would love it if after this election cycle, we could pick that up and look at that as something we could add.
I've asked the county attorney in that vein to look at some very details about the county's canvassing board. As you know from serving, and I'm not sure the public fully understands, or everybody in the public fully understands, you serving on the canvassing board, me serving on the, we're not counting every vote. That's not our job. That's not our purview. We are only looking under statutory certain things that we look at. We have no control over really the outcome of an election other than the mail-in ballots and the few ballots that are questionable that we have to review as a board of folks sitting there, which is a minute microcosm of ballots compared to those that are registered and are actually being cast. I have also asked our county attorney to look at the capability and get with the county manager about SGTV actually being there to video the process as it takes place. So I will hopefully have reports from our county manager. Of course, that's staff time, which means money, but it is a public process, and we pretty much televise almost every public process in this county already. It's going to have to take coordination with the supervisor of elections and how we do that, but that's something I've asked the county attorney to look into and make sure if we're able to do it, let's try to do it. So,
Agreed.
With that said, we will adjourn for the day. Thank you all very much for being here.